So imagine you're at a birthday party and there's pizza, chicken nuggets, breadsticks, and birthday cake, all your favorite things. You eat everything that you want because it's a birthday party. You want to splurge. And you go on with the birthday party, they open their presents, you're playing games. It's a couple hours after you ate. And then your stomach starts to hurt and cramp and hurt so bad that you have to spend the rest of the time in the bathroom, and you leave after an hour in the bathroom and you can't say bye to anybody because you've just been in the bathroom for an hour. And so you leave and you go spend the rest of the night at your house in your bathroom being sick to your stomach and it hurting and cramping so much. You know it wasn't food poisoning because no one else at the party got sick and they all ate exactly what you ate. But no one else got sick. So you know it's not food poisoning. Have you ever thought maybe it could be a gluten sensitivity? Let me start by giving the definition of gluten. Gluten is what makes dough elastic. It gives it the elasticity that you need. Gluten is found in wheat. It gives texture to bread, and it's found in anything with wheat or bread or anything of the sort. Gluten sensitivity is very common in the world today. It seems to have sprung up more recent, and it's a lot more common today than it used to be, and almost 7% of the world suffers from it. About 18 million people suffer from gluten sensitivity. So, today we'll be discussing the difference between gluten sensitivity and celiac disease. We'll be discussing how we should be diagnosed with gluten sensitivity and what life looks like after you are diagnosed with it. So let's take a look at celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. So first, I want to tell you what celiac disease is. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder where consuming gluten causes irreversible damage to the small intestine. So as you can see here, this is what a normal intestine looks like. And those little dots are nutrients. And the small intestine is supposed to absorb nutrients very well. And so a normal intestine absorbs all of those nutrients right there. And then someone with celiac disease, their small intestine is worn down more, and the nutrients isn't absorbed as well as it is for a person without celiac disease. So gluten sensitivity is different from this. Gluten sensitivity is not as severe as celiac disease. With celiac disease, it takes years to damage your small intestine, and you might not see symptoms until years after you've eaten gluten, which is crazy to think because you could be eating gluten every day while your small intestine is being damaged and you won't even know it. So celiac disease is severe, and people with celiac disease can't have gluten. They can stand up to 20 parts per million, but that's it. 20 parts per million of gluten. So you can't have something with zero gluten in it, 0 parts per million gluten in it, because gluten is everywhere. But you can have gluten-free things that have 20 parts per million or less. So people with celiac disease can eat that food. With gluten sensitivity, there's minimal damage caused to the intestines, while there is some damage because it hurts your stomach. Your stomach hurts a lot, and it's reversible. It doesn't stay. If you go on a gluten-free diet, then then your intestines they'll heal themselves. So, based on a collaborative report published by Sapone, the symptoms of celiac disease are usually gradual and characterized by a time lag of months or years. So gluten sensitivity symptoms occur hours to days after gluten exposure. So I want to stop right here and tell you about a little bit about myself. I have a gluten sensitivity, and I developed it about 3 years ago. Went to a bunch of doctors trying to figure out what was wrong. I went on a few diets, and I found that a gluten-free diet was the best thing for me. I tapered off the gluten-free diet a few months ago and found that my stomach hurts a lot now if I eat too much gluten. So now I am completely gluten-free, and it's not the end of the world, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself so you know that I have some experience with what I'm talking about. So gluten sensitivity occurs quicker. The symptoms occur quicker than celiac disease. And it's not as severe as celiac disease. So gluten sensitivity sounds like a pretty simple fix, but doctors need to be the ones to tell you that you need that fix. Let me explain myself a little bit more. Some people self-diagnose themselves, saying that they have a gluten sensitivity, when really they could possibly have celiac disease, or they could have a wheat allergy. And those two things are more serious than a gluten sensitivity. So Dr. Daniel Leffler, he's a director of clinical research at the Celiac Center, states that the real danger is that in assuming a person has non-celiac gluten sensitivity, they are not evaluated properly, and a more serious illness is missed and allowed to progress untreated. So that sounds pretty scary. It sounds like someone could be eating gluten-free but also could still be damaging their intestines because they have celiac disease. In my experience with people who have celiac disease, it's very important at restaurants and in public places that they know where their food has been and what is in their food exactly. So Dr. Leffler makes a great yet alarming point in that we can't say that we have a gluten sensitivity without first ruling out celiac disease and a wheat allergy. So let's look at how gluten sensitivity diagnosis would change our day-to-day life. Some people think that going gluten-free is the end of the world, like I said earlier. They think that eating gluten-free is impossible and bread is just their thing. It's the thing that gets them through the day, thing that keeps them full. But I'm here to tell you that being gluten-free is not the end of the world, and there are so many great foods that we can eat if you're gluten-free. So I want to focus on this right here for a second. So this of the gluten conditions that we have, I'm talking about wheat allergy, gluten sensitivity, and celiac disease. So of those three things, the purple portion right there is a wheat allergy, and the blue portion is celiac disease, and then the green, yellow is the gluten sensitivity. So as you can see, gluten sensitivity is way more common than those other two conditions. So there's a lot of people in the world living this gluten-free life, and they're healthy, active, and people who get full at meals. There's a website called glutenfreeliving.com, and it starts you off with the basic gluten-free diet, and it tells you what things are naturally gluten-free and what substitutes you can use instead of regular flour. There's coconut flour, there's almond flour, there's so many different things that you can use and to replace a flour with gluten in it. And it's just amazing what our world has come to, and how many new things we have come up with to be able to eat what everyone else is allowed to eat. I can eat birthday cake. I can eat pizza. I can eat so many things that people think that gluten-free diets can't allow, but I can eat those things as well. So let's review what we've talked about today. The main difference between celiac disease and gluten sensitivity is that gluten sensitivity, the symptoms occur sooner than celiac disease, but it's not as severe as celiac disease in that the small intestine is not damaged permanently, and with celiac disease it is. Never self-diagnose yourself with gluten sensitivity. You don't want to underestimate the severity of your condition by just saying you have a gluten sensitivity and not being as cautious as you should be. And living with gluten sensitivity is not the end of the world. It is a freeing thing to realize something's hurting your stomach and you found a way to fix it. So it's not the end of the world. So what I want you to get from this is that gluten sensitivity is a real and uncomfortable condition that can be managed by a gluten-free diet. It's not a made-up condition so that people can be snobby about what they eat. It's real, and it's something that the 6%, 7% of the world is suffering from today. So I want to close with a simple, encouraging quote that someone once told me. Don't despair over the food that you can't have. Remind yourself of all the good food that you can have. Thank you.